Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. So delighted to get to talk about the work that we're doing in Good Systems Ethical AI at UT Austin. Here's the link for Good Systems in case you're interested in learning more. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. Awesome. So Good Systems is one of 3 campus-wide research grand challenges at UT Austin. And our focus is on ethical AI. And it's actually a topic I've been doing research on for over 20 years, teaching courses in for over 15 years. So it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And being able to scale this research program up to the campus level has been the experience of a lifetime. So there's a lot of exciting things happening at UT Austin, especially with Good Systems. So first of all, why AI? Why is AI important? So what's the hype around AI? So this is just here in Texas, but the national and international data looks similar. If you look at data over the past 20 years on the search concept AI, it's gone up tremendously, almost exponentially within the past year and a half or so. So AI has been, of course, in development for many years. And I've been doing research on ethics of AI for over 20 years. So it's not a brand new topic, but there's just so much more awareness and hype around AI these days. Of course, artificial intelligence has gone through some hype cycles of lots of interest and momentum, excitement, and also some AI winters where there is a pause in the interest in AI and people become skeptical about the impacts of AI. So it's quite probable that we'll have additional AI winters and AI hype cycles in the future, but we're very much in the middle of a hype cycle today. And a lot of that is about generative AI. And in particular, you've probably heard of ChatGPT. So you can see on the right here, we think of Twitter and Facebook and Instagram as being the biggest apps out there. But for example, it took Facebook 10 months to reach 1 million users. ChatGPT did that in 5 days. So that is a phenomenal rapidity of how quickly ChatGPT caught on. So it's really taken off. And of course, ChatGPT is a large language model. So it's text-based, text generating, although it's starting to move into multimedia, which is fascinating. And then we have generative AI that can make images and video, including deep fakes. One of my doctoral students, well, former doctoral students, Nitin Verma, just graduated last summer. He did his PhD dissertation on the societal and ethical implications of deepfakes or synthetic media and how they can be used in disinformation campaigns and other potentially harmful ways for society. And he's now doing a postdoc jointly at Arizona State and the New York Academy of Sciences. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. Generative AI can also produce music. There was a Drake and the Weeknd synthesized track that was AI based that was pretty big a few months ago. It can be used to generate code, even generate molecules, which is pretty fascinating, and also in robotics. So lots of different applications. And you can imagine with all of these applications, some that could really benefit a lot of people in society and some that could potentially harm people in society as well. So, AI is ChatGPT, AI is autonomous vehicles. Autonomous vehicles have the potential to dramatically reduce the number of highway deaths. There are tens of thousands of highway deaths in the US alone every year. But of course, any vehicle can be hazardous, and there have been fatalities as a result of autonomous vehicles. And actually, in some cases, there have been pilot programs to put AVs on the road. We had a bunch of Cruise vehicles here in Austin, and then Cruise decided to suspend operations because of some of the controversy around safety and some considerations about how people were interacting with the vehicles and how the vehicles were sometimes causing traffic jams and potentially causing hazardous situations. And also robots, of course. Robots are becoming increasingly ubiquitous in society, and it's quite possible that a lot of jobs will potentially of course, there's been a huge application of robotics in manufacturing, for example. They don't necessarily all look like this humanoid robot here, but there's increasing trend of automation that goes back decades in manufacturing and related areas. Also AI. So in the lower left, you can see increasingly when you're on a website, you may be interacting with a customer service chatbot. So that may be AI driven. When you're getting a recommendation for a product from Amazon, or Spotify is recommending music, or Netflix is recommending movies for you to watch, that's AI driven. And also mentioned generative AI. This is an example of a image that was produced through generative AI. So all of these have really exciting applications, but also some potentially dangerous ones. So the application of deepfakes for disinformation can create a situation where, first of all, it may be hard to believe everything that you see. So there may be things that are actually you might think it's true based on watching it, but it's synthetic. There's also the possibility that something that actually is true, people might not believe in video or images as testimonial evidence any further. So that's potentially quite worrisome in a number of situations. And so public trust is a huge issue with AI. So this is some data from the Pew Research Center over 3 years' time. Actually, it's only about, I think, 8 months gap between the 2022 and 2023 data, but you can see it's gotten a lot worse. So it used to be a plurality. We're equally excited and concerned about AI, but now there's a clear majority of the US public who say they're more concerned than excited about AI. So given that AI is, being hyped as the next big thing, we're seeing more and more ways that AI is being incorporated into our smartphones and other mobile devices, is being incorporated into many aspects of our lives, even in some cases in ways that we're not aware of. This is worrisome. A lot of big box stores these days are screening applicants for jobs using AI. So someone may apply for a job and it may be rejected by a bot. A lot of logistics companies are using AI to track and evaluate employee job performance. So someone might be fired by a bot. There have been some news stories of that happening. So it's a really worrisome situation. And speaking of employment, most Americans believe AI will decrease the number of jobs in the US. So this is a Gallup survey, and you can see 75% of the US public believes that AI will reduce the number of jobs that are available in the United States over the next 10 years. So this is a really troubling, worrisome statistic. Are we really introducing a whole bunch of technology that's going to replace all of us, take away all of our jobs, completely transform the economy, potentially in ways that further increase income inequities and further broaden the gaps between the haves and the have-nots, where you have a few large multinational tech companies that are making huge profits, but everyday folks around the world are disadvantaged by this and losing their jobs. It's a worrisome situation. So that's why here at UT Austin, as one of the 3 Bridging Barriers Research Grand Challenges, the president announced in 2019 that we would work to ensure that the needs and values of society drive the design of AI technologies. So that's what we've been doing over these past 4 and a little bit years, and we're still well on our mission to make a real difference in this regard. So our mission is to design ethics-centered AI technologies for the benefit of society. And we're trying to achieve the broadest possible benefits for members of society globally. We believe that AI systems need to be developed in accordance with human values like transparency, trust, agency, equity, justice, and democracy. Transparency is actually, transparency in AI is a topic that I published on 18 years ago for the first time in communications of the ACM. And it's been great to see the FACT community grow around issues of fairness, accountability, and transparency. And there's a need for even more research in this space. It's, again, with AI being such a huge part of our everyday lives, we need to think about the ethical implications and the role of human values in the design of AI-based systems. So our research approach within good systems is that we first define what a good system is. And of course, part of this is the definition of good. This is something that societies around the world have had very different views about for millennia. So this is a challenging problem. Actually, in my ethics of AI courses and ethics courses broadly, I use a wide range of global contemporary ethical perspectives, including Ubuntu, Islamic ethics, Hindu ethics, Confucian ethics, Buddhist ethics, as well as ethics of care. And so, we think about good quite broadly in this sense, but it's not just about defining the good, it's also about defining the systems. And here we're talking about human AI partnerships. We're talking about socio-technical systems, not just the technology in isolation, because there is no technology in isolation. Technology is designed by and for people. So it's important to look at that. That's part of the strength of iSchools in general, and the UT Austin iSchool in particular, is looking at that relationship between technology and society. And then we evaluate the goodness of systems. So that's part of our research approach for good systems. And then we build good systems. So we're actually looking to make a difference in the world and actually building systems. So we're not just stopping at defining and evaluating, we go out and build things. So by the numbers, we have over 120 active researchers in good systems currently. We've been publishing about 50 papers a year. There are over 30 departments, schools, units represented within good systems. So the breadth of good systems is really phenomenal. So even in our executive team, which is our leadership group, we have the School of Information, the College of Natural Sciences, College of Liberal Arts, Cockrell School of Engineering, Moody College of Communication, School of Architecture, and LBJ School of Public Affairs all represented. So it's, it's spanning almost the entire campus. We have many great strengths across, many different fields at UT Austin, and we're able to bring these fields to bear in terms of the work we're doing in good systems. So that's led to substantial external funding we've been able to generate. And this is organized around 6 core research projects, which I'll talk about in a moment. So we're located in Austin, Texas, which is a really amazing, thriving global tech hub. It's also the capital of the state of Texas. So there are huge opportunities both for engaging with industry and with government as well, with policymakers. And our educational offerings at the graduate level, probably our most significant one is the Graduate Portfolio Program in Ethical AI. I'll talk about that a bit more in a few slides. Our key partners in good systems range from the World Economic Forum to the City of Austin to MITRE to National Science Foundation. So we're partnering very broadly across academia, industry, government, nonprofits, and that's been part of the strength of good systems, has been our partnerships. Then, as I mentioned, we have 6 core research projects. The first one is AI and the future of racial justice. And here, there are huge issues with algorithmic bias. Facial recognition is one example, but there are many examples of of systemic bias through AI, unfortunately. Of course, AI-based systems are generally trained on data. And so if you have a systemically racist or in other ways systemically inequitable society like ours, then it's going to result in systems that carry similar biases. So it's going to recreate existing biases in society, and in some cases, perhaps create new forms of bias as well. So this is very troubling. So we're doing work to understand and identify these issues of bias and to work to overcome them. There are some cases with the compass system, for example, which is being used as input for sentencing decisions by judges. But ProPublica has done an analysis showing how racially biased the algorithm is. So it's very troubling. And of course, there's the important work of Bulamwini and Gebru on gender shades, showing the back to facial recognition, the gender and racial bias embedded in facial recognition. That connects then to surveillance. So another core research project is Being Watched, embedding ethics in public cameras, and thinking about how cameras are all around us all the time as AI is being used for things like facial recognition. How is that data used? How is that data stored? How long is that data kept? Who has the ability to search that data? How could that data be used? And there are often, of course, a lot of cases it's to prevent crime, supposedly, but there are a lot of other potential applications of that data, some of which are troubling. A good system for smart cities is focusing on building a digital twin for first the city of Austin, as well as other cities across the country and around the world. Living and working with robots is focusing on applications of robotics and all the different ways that we can interact with robots in our everyday lives. Designing responsible AI technologies to curb disinformation is focusing on this issue of disinformation, the way that AI is used to create and spread disinformation through bots, but also how AI can be used to combat disinformation. And then the last project here is one that I'm directly involved in, making smart tools work for everyone. We're focusing on skilled workers who use hand tools in their jobs and actually embedding AI into those tools to help them to get feedback that can help them avoid repetitive stress injuries or workplace accidents. So to promote worker safety and well-being while also preserving workers' jobs, so that we don't think that AI should be used only to automate. We think AI should be put in the hands of workers and empower workers through AI. So I wanted to talk about two specific programs that have resulted from good systems that applicants to the PhD program at the UT Austin iSchool are eligible for consideration for. The first is the NSF-NRT Ethical AI Fellows Program. So these are 2 years of funding. All of our students actually get 5 years of guaranteed funding, but that may include different funding sources. And so in some cases, that's made up of fellowships like these. This is something that both Min Kyung Lee and I are involved in the iSchool. We have some fabulous fellows involved in the program. And there are courses that students take in the Ethical AI Portfolio Program, which is sort of a interdisciplinary minor that students complete, like ethics of AI, human AI interaction, human-centered robotics, and several others. It's a really great program. Another great program is the IMLS Ladder Fellows. So this is funding for students to do research on AI and data in libraries. Students do 4-month rotations. So we're partnering with a school library, a public library, and an academic library. And students work as teams alongside the faculty and the respective librarian to conduct collaborative research projects. There's also mentoring in research, teaching, and professional engagement, cross-cohort collaboration. Su-Young Ri and David Lankus are the other faculty involved in this program. And we have one of our amazing fellows in the program, Jackson Day, who's here. So that concludes the presentation about good systems, ethical AI at UT Austin. I'd love to take a few questions. Something came up, unavoidable meeting came up, and so I'll have to leave in a couple minutes, but I'll leave you at that point in the very capable hands of our Ladder Fellow, Jackson Day, as well as Doug Jansen, who's the graduate program coordinator for the PhD program. Any questions? would
Please
like
feel
to.
free to put questions in the chat, or just raise your hand and we'll go ahead and unmute you.
Yeah, Alex, good.
Hey, Professor. Thanks for the presentation. Curious about the core research programs. Basically, are those like set in stone for the foreseeable future? Are there other programs that are being considered to be added to the portfolio? Or, yeah, just curious about that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. That's an excellent question. So in our 8-year mission, our first 2 years, we took on 1-year projects. And so we tried a bunch of pilot projects. In our second year, 7 of those were in collaboration with the City of Austin that helped lead to an interlocal agreement between UT Austin and City of Austin that's providing up to $7.5 million of funding to UT as a result of that. In preparation for our third year, we decided to focus the remaining 6 years on our core research projects as the primary focus. So those are our primary focus for now. We've had some opportunities for graduate fellowships to do research in related, but not directly tied in those areas. And we've also we also have just introduced a set of cross-cutting themes. So we're focusing on work, knowledge, and alignment as our cross-cutting themes that enable more collaborations among the core research projects. So we don't intend for these only to be in isolation, but we're fostering collaborations among them. And 5 of the 6 core research projects include iSchool faculty and doctoral students. So it's really exciting to see the opportunities this has opened up for research for iSchool doctoral students. Yeah, thank you, Alex. Awesome. So I need to head off to this important meeting. Apologies for the time conflict, but I'll leave you in Doug and Jackson's very capable hands. And actually, Jackson, again, as a Ladder Fellow, as a doctoral student in the program, if you could maybe start off by talking a little bit about what your experience in the doctoral program has been like. And I'm hoping that everyone will feel comfortable asking Jackson some questions, because really the best way to find out about a doctoral program is to ask students who are currently enrolled in the program. So thanks again, everyone. Really appreciate your being here. And thanks, Jackson, for sharing your experiences. Thanks.
Absolutely, Ken. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm going to take that as a yes. My name is Jackson Day. I'm a doctoral student here at the iSchool. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the program and just kind of how I got here. My research interest as a doctoral student is the accessibility of higher education, meaning getting more disabled students into higher academic environments. And when you go into a doctoral program with a research idea in mind, it's important to kind of have a good relationship with your main point of contact in the doctoral program, which will be your doctoral advisor. My doctoral advisor is actually Dr. Ken Fleischmann, the person you just heard from. And I have been involved in both Good Systems and the Ladder Project as part of my doctoral studies. That's a very high-level introduction. Does anybody have any questions thus far? Or Doug, would you like to add anything that I may have forgotten thus far?
Not off the top of my head. Does anybody have any questions for Jackson about maybe the Ladder program, the IMLS, the Ladder program, or the research involved in Good Systems? Dr. Fleischmann covered a lot of ground in that 25 minutes that he spoke.
If not, I'll just keep talking, but I don't want to drone on too much. Oh, I think we have somebody.
Kirsten, go ahead and if you want to unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you very much for having this talk. I was wondering what about an iSchool program was appealing as opposed to one of these other programs that are involved in this research, the engineering. What about the iSchool drew you to it rather than one of the other disciplines?
Okay. One of the big things for me, and this is just my experience, is the iSchool is number one, very interdisciplinary. So there's a lot of people from many different fields that come to the iSchool and kind of add their perspective to the research. So you have a lot of opportunities to collaborate with individuals who are experts in fields that you may not be. And so when you're doing your research projects, you have a lot more potential ground that you can report on when you're analyzing your findings and all those sorts of things. The second thing for me was more personal as a student. I like how personal the iSchool is. When you're a student here at the iSchool, you're not just another student. You have a very close relationship with your faculty advisor and the rest of your doctoral committee. For those who may not be aware, when you are a doctoral student, you have both an advisor, which I mentioned is your main point of contact, but you also have a doctoral committee which reviews your work and kind of gives you guidance as you hit all of your milestones, which you will learn about if you come here. And I have read books on PhD programs before I got here and after I got here. And one of the main things it tells you is if you're going to pursue a PhD, you have to have very good interpersonal relationships with the people who are guiding you. And that is something I feel the iSchool provides in spades. Hopefully that did at least something to answer that question. Is there anything else I can answer? Excellent. Okay. I see a thumbs up. I see a hand raised too, I think.
Anna,
Hi.
go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Anna. Nice to meet you. Thanks so much for explaining about the program and your research a little bit. Could you say more about what kind of disciplines people come from into the iSchool? Like, I don't know, a little bit of the spread.
Oh gosh.
I can take
Okay.
that one, Jackson. No, we I'll cover that one. So the applicants to the PhD program come from a wide array of disciplines. Like Jackson was saying, not only do the faculty drawn from fields, sociology, anthropology, English, and then computer science and some of the hard science data things. But our students are too. There's no one targeted discipline that the iSchool looks for when it looks at applicants. So, it could be, English. We have, Rachel, help me out. How many dual degree programs? 7?
7.
Seven dual degree programs. Right, with the iSchool and the English department, the iSchool and Latin American Studies, the iSchool and the LPJ School for Public Affairs, which is a really wonderful kind of, symbiotic relationship between the iSchool and government, right? Public policy. So there's a lot of opportunities for people in a wide array of disciplines to find their research niche, especially within this program, Jackson, as broad as good systems. Right. So, I mean, Dr. Fleischmann covered a lot of ground. There were a lot of points of contact with, different entities, not only here in Austin, but, throughout the university as well. So did that answer your question? Is that?
It
Okay.
does. Thank you.
Doug saved me from the fear of missing a discipline and hurting someone's feelings.
I overlooked many. I mean, it really is kind of fascinating in how many disciplines get involved and are collaborating here at the high school.
I know
And
that
again,
this
that's very,
I'm sorry.
go ahead. No, I
No,
was gonna
sorry.
say, no, again, it's very valuable because when you enter into a research project, you have the opportunity to work in these collaborative teams, which you can end up, reporting on your results, and your findings can be much more in depth than they would be if you were just looking at it from a single discipline.
Were you going to add something on that, or?
That's very relatable. I'm currently working as a research assistant in an interdisciplinary bioethics lab. And it has kind of a similar, but I was going to wonder if, going to ask if, probably this is a question for Doug again, but like, yeah, I guess what are the skills or the specific kind of like characteristics that you'd say most people kind of share when they come to the iSchool? Another impossible question. I'm sorry.
No, other impossible questions. I think one of the things that almost all of our doctoral students have is a deep devotion to human-centered research and an insatiable curiosity. I mean, I think those two things need to be there to be successful in this. But again, do you need to be able to code in a dark room without any lights? No. It's you will learn what you need to learn. But what you want to be able to do is take that curiosity that's going to allow you to ask the questions that need to be asked for a lot of this material. Especially moving forward, what does the future look like? Nobody knows, right? AI, Dr. Fleischmann's been in it for 20 years, and he's seen the whole future of AI, the future and the present of AI just change dramatically. So, it's one of those things where, bring in that wide diversity of, interests and that curiosity and apply it to, and the one thing we do emphasize is the human-centered aspect of all of this. Human-centered, informatics. You mentioned bioethics. We have several research projects that are devoted to health informatics and the use of not only artificial intelligence, but other aspects of, that kind of symbiotic relationship, again, between our medical school and the School of Information and, pursuing new and groundbreaking technology and advances in health informatics.
I can add a little something there if you'd like, Doug. And as Doug mentioned, about that insatiable curiosity, when you're a student and you decide to come here, especially in the PhD program, when you and your advisor work together with your committee to nail down what's called your dissertation topic, which is the field of research you're looking at for the purpose of graduating with your degree, you have to be very passionate about it, because it, generally speaking, becomes your life for the remainder of your time in the program. So having that curiosity that Doug mentioned is extremely important, and will lead you towards success in the endeavor of pursuing a PhD.
Yeah, Alex, please.
Hi. Yeah, my question sort of on the interdisciplinary theme, specifically like as it relates to like different methodologies that might be used within an information science sort of context. Like, yeah, I'm really drawn to the interdisciplinary nature of this discipline, and in terms of the sort of like content and topics that I'd be able to engage. But I guess I have a little bit less visibility into, at least from afar, but like I have less visibility into, yeah, like what sort of methodologies might distinguish it from other kind of adjacent disciplines, and to what degree, like, yeah, is there flexibility there? Do you have folks, obviously, like there's probably more of an emphasis on like quantitative and computational sort of analysis and whatnot as like an element, but what about like qualitative, like ethnographic stuff? Like, do you have any sort of like anthropological kind of methodologies that find their way into the mix? Yeah, kind of a very general, broad question that, yeah, I don't know who that best be suited for, but thanks.
I can talk to it, Jackson, unless you want to take this one.
I can take some of it based on what I think the question is asking, which
Okay.
is, does the iSchool teach different research methods? The answer to that question is yes. During your first 2 years of doctoral study here, you will be exposed to both quantitative and qualitative research methods, as well as mixed methods. So the department does not take a singular approach to research methods, much like the general ideology. The research methods are varied as well. I don't know if that was the heart of the question. Maybe Doug, you had a different interpretation than I did.
Well, I was just going to kind of more specifically address, you had asked about, like maybe qualitative research and anthropological. Yes, the answer to that is yes. We do have professors whose expertise is in that kind of sociology, racial equity, anthropology, realm, and they focus very heavily on, surveying methods and qualitative analysis of the data that they gather. And work at it from that angle as well. So like Jackson was saying, you will be trained not only in quantitative, computational things, you will get exposure and get to practice qualitative methodologies as well as a mixed method. So and it's really hands-on. So after those 3 courses, you really get to choose the research areas and the people you want to work with within the faculty. You can look at somebody's area of expertise as you get, into the program a little bit and start working with them very closely on one-on-one and like directed projects and directed readings to hone those skills, and getting ready for, that all important dissertation research and then that final product of the finished dissertation. So
Thank you very much.
you bet. Okay, I know we are starting to run up against a little bit of time. I am going to, I think, share my screen. Did I do it?
I can't see it, but that doesn't mean much. My computer tends to fail at the worst possible time anyway.
Oh, okay.
Doug, we cannot see anything yet.
Okay. Let's see. Okay.
There we go. You're
Yep,
good.
there we
Okay.
go.
So you'll see a bunch of slides off to the left. I don't know if I did that right or not. But one of the things I wanted to point out, and I think Dr. Fleischmann mentioned it, was the fact that all of our students that we admit, there's a commitment on the part of the iSchool to 5 years of funding. So tuition and fees, plus an insurance stipend, or if you're employed, the university takes care of that, and a stipend to live in Austin. So, it's one of those things where there's a commitment there on their behalf. We are having an online information session, and I put a QR code there. If you want to access that, that's going to be Wednesday, November 15th at noon. And at that session, our Director of Doctoral Studies, Dr. Matthew Lease, who is again part of this Good Systems effort, part of this grand challenge Ken was talking about, he will be presenting, conducting an information session on the PhD program, and he will be able to answer in a lot more detail a lot of the questions that you might have about the nuts and bolts of applying to it and getting through the PhD session or the PhD program. So if you have any questions, go to okay. If nobody else has any questions, that is my part of the presentation. Thank you all for coming. And, please feel free to reach out to us if you do have questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jackson. Thanks, Douglas.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Alex. Those are great
Bye.
questions, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.